Welcome back. I'm sure you're all super excited. You finally got that first ion quiz under your belt, and now it's time to go back and do some more. Section 2, many of these things we don't really need to talk about because they follow the same exact rules as the ones that we learned for last week. Sodium, lithium, bromide, rubidium. Look at them. If they're negative, change it to "ide." If they're positive, just leave them alone and write whatever the name is on your chart. And the charges can come from where they are on the chart, just like we saw before. If you have any questions about that, go back and rewatch that first video. The top three are the ones I wanted to point out here. First, I wanted to talk about hydride. Hydride is a little bit different because we learned yesterday or last week that hydrogen was +1, and it's in the +1 column, and everything about hydrogen screams +1, but now we see that for this week, if hydrogen comes up, it's negative. Well, how do you know the difference between a positive hydrogen and a negative hydrogen? And the answer is from the name. Turns out that a hydrogen atom, we haven't learned why these things become ions yet, but it turns out they become ions by getting or losing an electron, and hydrogen is one of those rare elements that can actually do either. It can, one time it'll lose an electron, become positive, one time it'll gain an electron, become negative. And so which thing it does determines what the symbol and the name is for it. So hydride is H-1. The symbol is still H, but the charge changes. The IDE ending, again, that negative tells you it's negative. The IDE tells you it's negative. And so the regular unchanged ending for hydrogen gives you the normal positive charge. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was these two guys. This is a trick that comes up over and 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 throughout the entire ion sheet course. You'll notice that these are different from the other ones, that they have two different elements in them. They have nitrogen and they have oxygen. All the other things have only had one capital letter, one element, one symbol, and everything changes when you have more than one symbol. So we cannot say nitride, we cannot say oxide. The entire name changes because there's more than one of them together. And when there's more than one of them together, you need to do a little bit of memorization. And so what I would suggest to you is to memorize, learn that nitrate is NO3 -1. Just learn that. You're going to have to make flashcards. You should definitely be doing flashcards on these, practicing every day. Get these things fresh in your brain. So that's what nitrate is. You would just learn it's got an N and it's got 3 O's and the charge is -1. Just learn that. But I'm not telling you to do the same thing with nitrite. Why? Well, because there's a trick. If you do what I just asked you to do, if you learn that nitrate is NO3 -1, then you will know that for nitrite, it's largely the same thing. We just kind of copy this down again, except we change one thing about it. We keep the formula in, we keep the O, we keep the charge. Nothing changes. The only thing that changes is the 3. If you go from 8 to 8, your O number, the number on the O, drops by 1. Drops by 1. There you go. That rule works for nitrate and nitrite, phosphate and phosphite, chlorate and chlorite, iodate and iodite, all over the place. Any 8 you can turn into an ite by just dropping one of the O's, changing the subscript from a 3 to a 2 or from a 4 to a 3, whatever it is. So that's a huge rule that will help you out a ton if you remember that throughout the year. Bye-bye.